A pen or a marker and see how you did. You're your own teacher today. So I'm creating this hemispherical stool, and all I know is right now that the volume of this thing is that, okay, in cubic inches, I might add. You want to cover the cushion with all around, that is, with fabric to make it more comfortable. So the bottom of this thing, if you want to have a visual here, that also needs to be covered in fabric, the base of it. So we'll see how that goes. So the first thing is the volume of a hemisphere is 2 pi r cubed over 3. Okay, that's what you start with. So you substitute that in here. That's 2065.24, 2 pi r cubed over 3. You can do it in very different ways, but I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. That's how I tend to do things. You're left with 2 pi r cubed, and this gives you 6195.72, right? If you multiply that by 3. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. That cancels out nicely. And so my last step is to take the cube root of this. Okay, and this is 986.07. Like I leave that on my calculator, it keeps going, dot, dot, dot. Okay, so the radius ends up being 9.953, and that keeps going inches. We're not done yet, but if you get to this part, I'll give you 2 marks today to just figure out what the radius is. So you have to work backwards. Don't forget how to do that from time to time. That does show up, okay? I don't like it, I know. Calculate how much fabric is required to cover one seat. So now we can do that. Add 10% for waste. So surface area, right, of Hemi, right, is going to be 3 pi r squared. This is including the bottom. Okay, usually it's 2 pi r squared, but we want the bottom as well, so it's 3 pi r squared. So we're going to go 3 pi 9.953, and it keeps going squared. If you do that, you get 933,710, I think. That's what I'm reading here. Keeps going. So you get a mark for figuring out the surface area. But now it's total surface area. What do I need to do to this number? Multiply it by 1.10, right? You multiply by 1.10 to add 10%, and that gives you your grand total of 1,027.08. So that's another mark there. That's how you would get your 4 marks. Find the radius is 2. Finding the surface area is 1. Adding 10% is 1. So give yourselves the mark for this step if you made a mistake early on. Yes? Oh, you did it in square feet already? Yeah, so what would that be? Divided by 144, right? Is that what you got? Yeah, that's fine. Because it didn't specify, so you could choose whichever unit you want. Yeah. That's just fine. All right, next. How much would it cost to cover 20 seats? And Leo already kind of gave us a heads up, right? That we're buying fabric in square feet. So you want to convert it at some point. So I'm going to do that. I don't know. In my key, I have 20 seats times 1,027.08, right? And that gives me 20,541.6 squared inches. I give that a mark. You figuring out what 20 is like. And then I use this one that 1 square feet has 144 squared inches. Okay. You square 1 foot is 12 inches. You square that, and then you get your 144. So if you divide that, essentially you get 142.65 square feet. I give you 1 mark for that step of converting. At some point you convert, right? Either right away, then multiply it by 20, or later on. So now I know that I need to purchase about 143 square feet worth of material. Okay, so you can't do partial units. So we've got 1 mark, another mark. I give this half a mark if I see you rounding up, right? I guess the best way to say it is if you don't, you take off half a mark. If you did round it, just keep going. You're getting full marks so far. Okay, so now I'm ready for the cost. The cost is the 143, so whatever you got, times 799 times 1.12. So you get a mark for doing that. So when you multiply, you get 1,279.68 cents. So it's 1, 2, 3.5. We'll give you half a mark for having some sort of final answer today, just to make it a bit easier marking. And again, I have to say, if you made a mistake in A, are all your numbers wrong? Yes, they're off. You're not wrong. If I see you going, whatever you got here times 20, you're on the right track. If I see you dividing whatever you got by 144, you're on the right track. If you round up, you're on the right track. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for here, steps, more than anything right now. Especially when you're in a B part, we go off of what happened before. We don't mark everything else wrong, okay? So there's your 4 and 4, lots of marks to give away there. Anybody recognize this question? I took it straight from your homework. At one point it was there. So basically, yeah, the inner diameter is this. This is 10 right here, right? It's the inner diameter of this big cylinder, but there's a hole there, so that's 10. We know that it's a foot here and it's a foot there, right? So it's 12 on the outside. 10 inside, 12 outside, because the walls are 1 foot thick. And I also know that this whole thing is 20 feet tall, but the inside here is what? 19, because it's got the floor is like a foot, right? I need a 1 foot thick bottom of this. Okay? So the inside is 19, so we've got 20, 19, 12, 10. I'm just going to make a note here. Capital R is 6. Lowercase r is 5. Capital H is 20, lowercase h is 19. So you kind of make a distinction. If the hole went right through, then both heights are the same, right? Then there's no need to have a lowercase h, but in this case you do. So we want to know how much cement, how much concrete is needed to pour this thing, okay? And I want it in cubic yards. So I go total volume, I go volume of large minus volume of small. And so it's really pi r squared h minus pi r squared h. Essentially the formulas are the same, it's just different numbers. Okay, pi 6 squared 20 minus pi 5 squared 19. Let's break down the marks here. I would give you a mark in my books if I see this, all the numbers correctly for the large cylinder, and I give you another mark for actually substituting the right numbers for the small cylinder. And then you get, if you type in the first part, it's 2261.94 something minus 1492. Please don't round early on these ones, use all decimals, right? You get that. I will already give you a mark for just showing how you crunch those numbers. So that's 3. Then you get 769.6902 something. And we are in feet. Everything is in feet so far. So you are in cubic feet. I would say this whole step, like the process of breaking it down and coming up with this, 1 mark. Last but not least, you want it in cubic feet. I hope you have this on your study sheet. We know that 1 cubic yard has 27 cubic feet. Cancel, cancel. It's basically 3 to the power of 3, right? So you get your 27. You divide by 27. Your last number is 28.51 cubic yards. That's when you round, when you're ready to do that. So you get 1 mark for converting. So if I see you dividing by 27, guys, you get a mark no matter what. If everything else is wrong above stream, I don't care. If I see you dividing by 27, you get that conversion mark. Okay. If you butcher the entries here up here, you might lose like 1 mark for getting the wrong radius, let's say. You get a mark off, but then from there on in, I follow what you've done. Okay. So this whole thing is worth 12 marks, not 13, because it's 4, 4, and 4. I made a change to it. So go to the very top and just put a mark out of 12. And I want you to have this for tomorrow's, like to study for tomorrow's test, if you want to go over this again. So I'm going to say, hand it in tomorrow. I'm going to remind you when the test is written, and then I'll just record your mark. So, Mr. Dirksen, can I like make it 100% all of a sudden? I'm just gonna trust you on it. I don't think it's worth it for you to, don't cheat. It usually backfires, okay? It always backfires. So don't try it.